Okay, so some people are replying and saying that it was a court and not a courtroom, and hiring courtrooms is a myth. So I'm just going to clarify something here. One, I'm security cleared and I work for the government. I've worked for the MOJ, I've worked for FCDO, I've worked for government departments. I'm debating whether I just start talking about how they waste money. Two, I was told by the court magistrates that I am not named, it is not a court, and the council have just hired a room for a number of people. So I was told that by the court themselves. Three, when I said, well, I'm trying to explain why I dispute the bill that I owe them and you're not listening to me. I'm having a bad hair day. Sorry, it's cleaning day today, we're all cleaning. And when I said, I dispute the bill, I'm entitled to certain discounts, like a single adult, sole adult in the home discount. And I've asked them for Freedom of Information Act, share my bill, break it down as to what you think I owe you and what discounts were applied when. Because even the Citizens Advice Bureau said I shouldn't owe all this money. Because it's over the last 2 years, because also I nearly died. I got a really life and death threatening situation and had kidney failure and was really unwell. Diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and Cushing's disease, which I've proven to them in a Section 13A form, saying that because I was so unwell and struggling, and out of work a lot at the time when I was really unwell a couple of years ago, so it's built up from there. And they've just dismissed everything, refused to even respond to the Citizens Advice Bureau. But what shocked me is I thought this was stretching things a little bit too far. I was married to a lawyer. I've worked for the government. I'm security cleared. I absolutely did not believe that stuff like that could happen. So I went there yesterday mostly because my friends kept saying, oh, it's corrupt, it's illegal, it's fraudulent. I was like, I can't believe that happens, actually. I honestly did not think it would be true. And I was flabbergasted yesterday. I showed up, I guess, really, to be heard, because it was apparently a court summons. And I was like, but I'm disputing a bill. You can't just slap a liability order on somebody if they're disputing a bill. But they didn't ask me my name. They didn't identify me. They wouldn't name who they are. It was just absolutely unlawful. It was. I've been to court a few times and I know how the process works and should work. And it was just shocking. So I've been a high-paying tax worker all my life. I've paid high taxes so that if I do get ill or unwell, I should be protected and looked after. Instead, South Oxford District Council chose to harass and bully me at a time when I was severely unwell, relentlessly. And the pressure and what they did for a relatively small amount of money was disgusting. And they were really like savage dogs chasing down a rabbit. And that's what I didn't like. And that's why I'm standing up for myself on principle. But I didn't believe all this stuff about it being corrupt and they hired. But there were 3 people pretending to be judges, sitting and acting like judges. They hadn't done an oath, wouldn't give their names, wouldn't ask me my name. That's not how a court runs. And they even said to me, we can't hear your side of the story because this is not a court set up to listen to that. We're not here for that. We're just here to grant the council's liability order. They told me this. And I said, well, that's in violation of the Human Rights Act. If this is a court summons, I should be able to put my case forward. I said, but you've just told me that what I've said doesn't matter. You've said I'm only allowed to complain out of one of the 8 things you listed, and I listed 3. And then you said we're dismissing those 3 because we believe the council who have lied are correct. I said, okay, but based on what? Because you've had no evidence off them or off me. You are dismissing my 3 of those 8 things, which are the only things you're allowing me to talk about. You're not allowing me to say I dispute the bill they're putting on me. And I've said clearly I am not liable for this. And you didn't even ask my name. And yet, I could be anyone. I could have been anyone in that courtroom. And yet, you believe the council over me. That is not a legal court. That's not how court works. I've been to court a few times. It's not how it works. And every time I've gone to court, I've worked with really gorgeous, lovely professional judges who've done an amazing job. These guys weren't judges. And they were just not even good at pretending to be. It was really shocking. So honestly, you can say it's a myth, but I went there not believing this thing could be possible, because the judges and courts I've been to have been professional and great and qualified, competent people. But I was told, and I seriously saw it with my own eyes, and I was in that place, that it's not a proper court. The council have rented the room. No names were used. Those liability orders could have been against anybody. I'm sure in the background they've submitted a large list of names just for process reasons or whatever. But seriously. So, I'm not making it up. I went there and I saw it, and it is corrupt, and it is absolutely deceitful. And that has shocked me yesterday, even more than them chasing me and harassing me when they did, when I was so unwell. It's not okay. They're supposed to be a community service looking after the people in their town. And yet businesses that are not community focused, like the difference between being a customer and being a constituent, they've treated me far better, decently, nicely. And go, oh yeah, not a problem. Oh yeah, sorry that's happened to you. All right, no problem. Well, let's just get it paid. It's not been an issue. Even I've been paying them by standing order because they wouldn't work with Step Change, Debt Management or me. So the Citizens Advice said, just send them money anyway. So I've been sending money each month. They admitted that yesterday, that they had received that money, but they still hadn't knocked it off the overall amount that I owed them. And when they were asked, which year has that been deducted from, they couldn't answer because they haven't actually deducted it. And I said, but even on the basis of that, how can you grant me a liability order knowing that the amount is wrong? Because they've just told you how much has been received in a standing order and they haven't deducted it. And yet you're granting them a liability order that is an incorrect amount anyway. I'm absolutely just shocked. So honestly, it was staged. And they weren't even good, because they told me it wasn't a court and they weren't there to hear my side. They were only there to grant the liability orders for council. So it actually doesn't matter whether you show up or not now with the way that they do that. That's not legal or lawful or whatever you call it. It's not a court. It's not a court process. So on principle, I need to stand up, because if they've done this to me, a high-paying tax career woman, I've paid over 40% tax all my life. But then when I was like 47, 48, I got sick. And they were supposed to reduce what I pay because I was off work and unwell. And they wouldn't. And they wouldn't even confirm that they'd given me the single adult. I've been single for 14 or 15 years here. But then they keep taking it off and saying, you've proved we need more evidence that you're single. And I'm like, why do you suddenly need evidence? And it was almost out of spite that I was behind in my bill. So out of spite, they've added extra things onto what I owe. And that's what I was disputing. But as I've started to dispute it and research what my rights were, I started to see all this other stuff about how it's not legal. And I was like, oh, no, I don't believe that. It's just like, I'm fully programmed into the system, I was. So I've just slowly started to go, no. And that's why I'm selling my house and moving out of the UK. Because it is really disgusting what they're doing here. And I am going to make a noise. I'm going to make a big noise about this. They're not going to get away with it. I'm going to try and get it to a high court. I'm going to try and go to newspapers, and I'm definitely escalating it to the courts, the council and the local MPs. Not that any of them will really care, but I got to stand up for people, right? If they do this to me, they'll do it for people who just are struggling more financially. I just had a short-term blip in my whole life, and they were vile. So what about people really struggling? And today, we are struggling. I'm a high earner, and I'm still struggling to keep on top of my bills. So how dare they do this to parents who are struggling? It is disgusting. It is indecent. It's really indecent, and I am going to make some noise.